Liz Truss seemed fairly forceful there yesterday. She even injected a little bit of humour at points. What did you make of it?
Oh, well, I think she has performed increasingly well. She wasn't that great in the hustings in Darlington the day before. That was more Rishi Sunak's home territory, I suspect, and she was a little bit stiff and wooden then. But she seemed much more relaxed last night, and I think that was a very good test of a candidate to have to answer questions from members of the public. I thought that was quite important, and I thought she did quite well.
Yes, it was interesting having those follow-up questions, specifically the members of the public coming to and from her. There was one moment with someone who was a carer for an ill relative that was really quite poignant, and we seem to tease something out of Liz Truss there, a commitment to overhaul the social care system, but she said she'd look at some direct help. Is there a moment here that we're seeing when Liz Truss talks about tax cuts sort of as the headline of her campaign? When we get into the detail, when we get into the questioning, sometimes she does talk in the language of handouts.
Yes, absolutely, because that's what she's going to have to do if she wins this contest, because tax cuts cannot be the whole answer to the cost of living problem. So she is going to have to use the benefit system, just as Rishi Sunak did as Chancellor. She's going to have to extend those cash payments to people on benefits and pensioners. But she wants to avoid saying so at the moment, because she wants to emphasise, as you quite rightly spotted, she wants to emphasise tax cuts, and she wants to position herself as a true Conservative as opposed to handouts. But she will do handouts, and then she'll be accused of betrayal.
Although perhaps in a more limited way. One of the other interactions yesterday was with a waspy woman in the audience, and she was asking for compensation, of course, for the equalisation of those retirement ages, raising the age at which that generation of women needed to retire. Liz Truss was candid with her, saying that she's not going to promise things she can't deliver, saying that she wouldn't give her extra money. Does that show a bit of grit?
No, that's the standard answer, Tom. Rishi Sunak said exactly the same thing in Darlington, and it's what any politician will say. I mean, the waspy issue is, unfortunately for the women concerned, something that no politician wants to reopen. Jeremy Corbyn tried to at the last minute in the last general election. But then the enormous costs became obvious and helped undermine his credibility. So, no, that issue is not going to be reopened. And I don't think there's any difference between the candidates on that. I mean, Liz Truss is just as hardline in looking after the public finances as Rishi is.
Well, let's turn to some of the new things we learnt yesterday then, particularly on this issue of cabinet roles. Liz Truss specifically referenced Kemi Badenoch in terms of someone who she would want, in her words, in her top team. Kemi Badenoch's not endorsed any candidates so far in this race. Might we expect something?
It's funny, isn't it, how Kemi Badenoch is the sort of darling of a section of the Conservative membership. In a way that Michael Gove, who also hasn't declared yet, is not, and the two candidates are both trying to attract her support. But I don't think she's going to declare for either of them. But she has, through this leadership campaign and through her good showing, secured a place in the cabinet. Whoever wins, I suspect.